Good evening. Good evening. Thank you so much for being here. This is a milestone event for us. This is the first graduating class of Speak Up Advocates in Ohio. Yay! My name is Katie Kitchen. I'm the director of the Corporation for Supportive Housing. The Speak Up program seeks to change the narrative about the experience of homelessness by elevating the voice of people with lived expertise. Our advocates become community leaders, addressing the myths and stereotypes about the causes of homelessness and the success that happens in supportive housing every day. Speak Up advocates are active in public policy circles across California, Illinois, Washington, D.C., and now here in Cincinnati. They've testified before Congress, state legislative hearings, and they've been very influential in inspiring significant new investments in supportive housing. The Cincinnati Youth Speak Up program is a partnership between CSH, Lighthouse Youth and Family Services, and Bespoken, a local storytelling nonprofit. And all of these organizations have provided financial and in-kind support, so thank you very much. As a public policy professional, I can cite countless statistics. Cincinnati's short 40,000 units of affordable housing. The United States needs 1 million units of permanent supportive housing to end homelessness. I can tell you how supportive housing pays for itself. It reduces a range of safety net costs like emergency room visits, shelter and jail stays, foster care placements, and hospitalizations. That not providing supportive housing causes an estimated $14 billion in economic harm to the United States, not to mention individual suffering. But I'd rather you hear about what homelessness means to those who've experienced it and overcome it. For the past 6 months, 8 supportive housing tenants at Lighthouse's Shakely Center have faithfully attended workshops and met one-on-one with their volunteer coaches to help them learn how to turn their personal histories of struggle and trauma into stories of strength that move people to action. Our advocates have continued to face hardships and challenges throughout this time, but have remained committed to this effort, to making a difference in their communities and helping pave the way to stable housing for others who experience homelessness. I hope they might share in some inspiration from a CSH Speak Up advocate and board member, Dorothy Edwards, who posted this on Facebook just this morning. Quote, "In this life, I've gone from homeless and unseen to a sought-after speaker on homelessness, from sleeping on the side of a freeway to a meet and greet at the governor's mansion. I've had to pick up and leave everything behind, but was blessed with even better things than I had. I've sold myself short, but I never lost faith in myself. I guess what I'm saying is if you feel sad and alone, there are more people than you know that are fighting for a better life for you. Even if you can't see them, believe me, they are there. Never give up hope." Now I'd like to ask Benita Campbell, Vice President of Lighthouse Youth and Family Service, to come share a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. I promise to our young people I will not be long because they are very nervous. As Katie said, this has been a 6-month adventure with our young people. I cannot express to you how extremely proud I am of each and every one of them tonight. We started this with these young people 6 months ago, basically with a vision for them to become a youth tenancy board for Lighthouse. Within that 6 months, we have had some of these young people present at state conferences, present to Senator Sherrod Brown, present on the fly, because I will wake some of them up and say, "Hey, I have a group for you to speak to today." Their confidence has grown so much, so they have decided to build their own brands for themselves, to become more spirited in who they are. I need you to understand that throughout this process, these young people's lives have not stopped. So throughout this, while they have built their own self-esteem, or they have decided to move on into different ventures in their life, they've also been met with tragedy. They have continued along this pathway with us. I've been doing this for more years now than I want to say, this work, just because it'll tell you how old I am. But I have never, in the length of time that I've been doing this work, held a group where every single time we held a group, all 8 young people were there. It speaks to their commitment, it speaks to this process, and it speaks to the level of maturity of each one of these 8 young people and their desire to really want to make a difference for other young people who come behind them and teach them how powerful their voice can be to make a difference in youth homelessness and also in their own building of self-worth and self-esteem. And that's what we want you to see for them tonight. Now, what I want you all to also know is this is their first time speaking to this number of group of people. So, while they all are nervous, give them a little bit of grace. I also want to take a moment tonight to thank each and every one of you for being here. I want to recognize a few members of our executive team. Thank you all for being here. I also want to recognize Judge Libby McCallahan for being here. Thank you so much for supporting us along the way. Our youth told her when she came to another meeting, you will be here, right? And she put it on her calendar, and she is here. So thank you so much for being here. We also have a member of our board here, Bob Zeff. Thank you so much for being here as well. And if there's anybody else I missed, charge it to my heart and not my head. So without further ado, we will start our program tonight with our young people. Please give them a round of applause. They all look so wonderful and have taken so much time to get ready for you tonight. So I will first introduce to you our first coach, which is Kara Parsons tonight. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kara Pearson, and I had the honor to be the coach for Aisha Way. Over the past 6 months, it has been a joy to get to know her. When we first met, we connected instantly, and her warmth and her openness made her really easy to talk to. And as we began to really get to know each other, I started to find that not only was she sweet, but she is so strong and resilient. I'm proud to see how much confidence that she's grown and gained from month to month, and it's been an honor to be able to grow alongside her during this process. So I would like to welcome Aisha to the stage.
Hello, everyone. Well, I would like to tell y'all my story. My name is Aisha Way. I'm here to share my story. My story is one of pain. My story is one of mistakes. My story is one of survival, but most importantly, my story is one of strength and appreciation. I found myself homeless at 14. I felt angry, hurt, and abandoned. I spent nights in the slide of burning woods, park, and abandoned buildings, and sometimes with strangers I met on the street. I ultimately end up in jail. By this time, I was just numb. I just didn't care about anything or anybody. I was completely alone. After 2 weeks in jail, I was released, and the judge told me about Lighthouse Youth Services. I was able to find them, and they accepted me immediately. This felt like a chance for a new start. However, this feeling faded quickly because I was feeling bullied, and I decided to leave. My cousins took me in, which I was grateful for, but I still didn't feel like home with my mom. This is how I ended up in foster care system at the age of 15. I aged out of foster care when I was 18 and tried to become an adult. I decided to move to Georgia, and I got my first apartment, and I had a new place, a new man, a new job, and finally moving in the right direction until I got in trouble and ended back in Cincinnati. I was disappointed in myself, but I still didn't give up. At age 22, I found Lighthouse again and decided to give it another try. This was 2 years ago, and I'm still on the path of bettering myself. I'm in a supportive relationship looking for a place of my own, pursuing school. Although I made mistakes, I'm proud of surviving. I'm proud of overcoming my pain and keeping a smile on my face through the struggle.
Anomaly, something that is different than what is expected. This is the word that was first used by Michael Carlisle about 6 months ago when I asked him to describe his life in one word. During our first gathering, Michael and we were challenged to find something that we had in common with the two of us. Over the course of about 3 minutes, Michael told me his story, and I sat there and listened. And at the end of it, I was speechless. We could not have come from more different backgrounds, to be honest with you all. However, at the end of that conversation, I promised Michael that over the course of the next 6 months, we would find something in common with each other. And that is exactly what we have done. First of all, Michael taught me that my sense of style is very lackluster and needs improvement. He also taught me that he could beat me in a game of one-on-one basketball, but is yet to invite me to actually play with him. But most importantly, he's taught me that we're not a victim of the situations around us and that we can be beat with the cards that are dealt to us in life. Michael, it's been an honor to get to know you over the last 6 months. Keep chasing your dreams, following your passion for music, and don't forget, you are an anomaly. Michael.
How you guys doing today? Man, my heart's beating fast right now. All right. To tell you guys a story about my life and my background of a young man in society. I was raised in a house of 8 kids. I'm the second of 8. Man, I'm blind too. All right, said. I only got along with my older brothers. I was in foster care. I was lucky to get adopted. I enjoyed living there at the moment, you feel me? When my brother went to prison, my mother, you feel me, she started to change, she started to act different. I felt like she lost her purpose, you feel me, being a mother in life, you feel me, raising 8 kids. I was about 16, probably 15 when I found out that you really need, you feel me, you really need money to survive in this world and go someplace. Sorry, I already know it all. I already know it all. I don't even need this. I don't even need this. You're gonna need money to do things that you want and to, you feel me, go other places in life. I wasn't allowed that opportunity to strive for myself and get a job. I don't know why. It was weird, and I just didn't feel welcomed in this world. In my adopted parents' house, I felt like they didn't like me. They weren't paying attention to me. They weren't giving me knowledge that a young man at my age was supposed to get. So eventually, I ended up falling in the streets, doing everything, you feel me, that you can think of, all of that, you feel me. It just didn't sit with me that I was in this predicament, knowing I got family or someone who could help me, and no one even talking to me about how I can change my ways and how I could be better. So I eventually becoming homeless at the age of 16. I've been by myself since I was 16, but again, let back and forth in my parents' house. Like whenever I'd try to go get a job, you feel me, I'd be gone long and not come back because I'm trying to go do something for myself, you feel me? So they call the police and label me a runaway, so I go to, you feel me, I go to jail. So that's, you feel me, strikes on my record. You feel me, I can barely get a job at a young age whole time. It's made me cold to realize that this world is not gonna give you anything. You gotta go and take it for yourself. So I came to Cincinnati in 2017, beginning of 2017. I had came out here to see my my biological family, but that ended up turning into, you feel me, not as it was or how I thought it was gonna be. They welcomed me with open arms, but you know, all that pain and misery that you're gonna feel and asking your parents, you feel me, what happened, why did this happen to me, why am I this way, why do I talk this way, you feel me, and then they, you know, they don't wanna talk about it because there's some stuff in the past they don't wanna bring up, you feel me, it's gonna open old wounds. So I eventually stayed with my mother for like 25 days until she kicked me out with something I had no, you feel me, I didn't do anything, you feel me. She had a sickness the whole time that I couldn't quite put my finger to and get around and, you feel me, help her change her mind and see. So she ended up kicking me out, and I ended up staying with a pastor in Cincinnati. I went to Job Corps, and then during Job Corps, my mom had died, and it took a toll on me in there. I was gonna graduate 2 weeks before that, and then you know how somebody, you feel me, you're going through some emotions, and someone says something about your family. Well, I ended up getting kicked out, and I just got certified in welding, and I was gonna get my high school diploma 2 weeks later. So after that, I ended up going back to where I was from, Gary, Indiana. Ended up messing up out there again, you feel me, doing the same things I was doing. So I had came back. And then my uncle told me about the lighthouse. He used to work for the lighthouse, the old building over there on Iowa, and now they turned it to a new, bigger and better building. It has helped me through my journey. Miss Wendy somewhere in the crowd right there. She has taught me that I'm never gonna be a victim of the system because I try too much to find a different way to get past all of it. Appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Prince Edward Johnson II. 6 months ago, I had the pleasure of getting to know who I consider now a little big brother of mine, DeMarco Sims. DeMarco Sims, hands down, is definitely one of the most impressionable people I think anyone in here is ever going to meet. Super charming. He has a way of just definitely making you feel comfortable, and definitely is a guy full of jokes and things like that as well. One of the things that I'm really grateful for and getting to work with DeMarco Sims is that just to be humbled really by his sense of resiliency with everything. It's often kind of stereotyped a lot of times about, you know, this whole kind of social construct about being victims and things like that. That's just simply not true for DeMarco. He's definitely is a victor. And so as you guys have a chance, like, definitely hear his story out. I hope that you all will be encouraged to just to be more civically engaged and to think more compassionately about the others, and to really just see yourself and live in relationships. And I'm really grateful to know that with my relationship with DeMarco, he's been hands down very, very inspiring. So without further ado, let's give it up for DeMarco Sims. All right.
Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is DeMarco Sims. I'm gonna take y'all on the hero journey of my story. I would like to welcome y'all into my life as I approach this world. The hero journey of DeMarco. Every day, every morning, I woke up to a warm house with a lot of good women, which is my mother, my sister, and my younger sister, and I got a younger brother. With loving and support from each and one of them, at an early age, I had dreams to become a doctor. He was passionate about healing and helping people live their better lives, which one point in time, I always have dreams of making sure whoever come across my path always have a chance of fighting, which, you know what I'm saying, always believe in yourself. Don't never let nobody tell you you can't do nothing. Don't never give up. Things began to change for me. My mother and my siblings, as we found themselves financially, verbally, my family found ourselves jumping house to house trying to establish the stability which once had. I was extremely upset. The situation, I felt that there was no solution to our financial problems. So I felt that I was obligated to help, so which I was able to do was get a job at the age of 9 years old. I don't know how many people here can say they had a job at the age of 9 years old. So when I first got my job, it was for Impact. Impact was a supporting system where they help young brothers find a job, find stability, and financial and saving money. So we go around the neighborhood, pick up trash, make gardens, you know what I'm saying, cut grass for people, anything to help, you know what I'm saying, put food in our pocket and help the next person as well, which they did for us. I never honestly felt like it was gonna be just devastating for me, but I always felt like I had a purpose, and I always felt like I was able to help my mother and my siblings. My siblings and I would sleep in Washington Park, abandoned buildings in OTR, from middle school through my early years in Taft High School. While in school, I fell in love with my girlfriend and became a father of 3. At an early age, weighing a better life for myself and my new family, I have found myself at a crossroad. I fear not making the right choices because homelessness and poverty could easily lead anyone into another desperation situation, which I was growing from over the Rhine, where you hear about every day, killings, homeless people, drugs. So when I woke up and seen a gun probably 2 feet across from me in the park, not knowing kids out there in the park, not knowing my brothers and sisters playing that part, not knowing if one of them would find it. So things was tough for me and when I got in high school, but some just told me, like, keep fighting. You're gonna have better days come. So I always felt like with me being who I am and loving other people and always caring for other people, I always felt like my thing was I could start something to give back. So one day I came up with a solution where if I'm able to touch one person out of 50, out of 10, out of 5, I felt like I did something that day. I felt like I was worthy of something that day. Because not too many people from my neighborhood get to share a story where they become homeless to where they come successful. Some kids not making it out of my neighborhood. Some kids don't get to see the age of 14. 2 14-year-olds done died in the past 2 weeks in my neighborhood. 2 parents done got evicted in my neighborhood with 3 kids or more just in the past week. So when we feel like our life is tough, let's think about the next person. Let's think about what people that's going through way worse than what we going through. How can we do what we do for ourselves, for the next person. We can go out and find resources to help ourselves. We can go out and find something to make sure we able to better our life and move forward and keep us humble and patient, keep us motivated, keep us with positive vibes. We can find the resources for ourselves, but we can't help the next person find the resources. So, like I told my siblings, which is my peers in this group today, when we come together, we came together as one. We came together to fight for each other. We came together to help each other and help others. We came together to make sure every one of us be able to succeed in life and make sure the next person can too. So until one day, I found myself waiting to find a place that would empower him to provide for his family and to live the life I always wanted to live. I found Lighthouse Youth Service, a safe place that reflects my values. I believe that the city of Cincinnati and the communities need more collective responsibilities. People must be provided with the structures to be responsible for their own lives, and the city must be responsible to its citizens in this way. Cincinnati funding of Lighthouse Youth Service reflects this for me. The greatest that I have gained was a strong sense of personal power to live my life courageously and cherish all those loved and cared for. The Lighthouse Center does this for me. So I want to thank y'all today for being here and listening to our stories. And before I leave, I want to make sure I give y'all this. Don't never give up. And Lighthouse Youth Service, thank y'all for everything y'all had done for me. CSH, Miss Katie, I want to thank y'all too as well. Thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed night.
Hi everyone, I'm Meredith Irwin, and I've been honored to be partnered with my advocate and my friend Diamond. It's been an amazing experience getting to know her and her story. She's an amazing woman. We've been able to share laughs and cries and dreams, and I've gained a really true, real friendship. I know this is really cheesy, but Diamond, you are seriously like the strongest, brightest gem there is. Please welcome Diamond.
Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. My heart is really racing, so forgive me. Hello, my name is Diamond Star Monroe. I come from a home with not the most solid of foundations. My siblings and I experienced abuse, after abuse, after abuse. It was very traumatic and completely out of my control. I was forced to grow up and be a mom for my brothers before I even hit puberty. At the age of 13, my siblings and I were placed in foster care, getting moved from home to home, technology, getting moved from home to home. We felt confused, unwanted, and unloved. It was really hard and extremely depressing. But I always had to make sure to be there for my little brothers, no matter what. I had to protect them. At the age of 16, I was diagnosed with tectoplate glioma, which is a brain tumor that can turn cancerous with growth, as well as hydrocephalus, which
in layman's terms, means my brain is drowning in spinal fluid. I was petrified for my life, still kind of am because it's still scary, but I was petrified for my life. But because of my diagnoses, I was separated from my siblings and placed in another home. It was so hard being away from them. I felt worthless. I felt worthless, powerless, isolated, and defeated. My life was spiraling. All I wanted was my family and to be in some form of control. So at the age of 17, I moved out and went to go live with my, at the time, boyfriend. Our relationship wasn't the best. I was constantly physically and emotionally abused. I had no self-esteem, and I didn't know my value. I was pregnant with my baby girl, though, and being pregnant changed my outlook on the way I was living. There was no way I was going to raise her in this toxic environment, so I had no choice but to leave. I had no idea if I was going to be able to pull this off or not. I found myself sleeping on a family member's couch with my 6-month-old princess. At that point, I didn't know what I was doing with my life, and I felt like a failure as a mother as well as a person. I was miserable. I decided it was best for my daughter to stay with a family member as I tried to figure out my life. So I went to go stay at a friend's place. This friend had been telling me about Lighthouse, to check it out and apply. I had been hesitant because I didn't know if it was best suited for me or not. But I knew ultimately I wanted my independence. I needed to do this for my daughter and her future. So I went to the shelter and applied for their supportive housing. About 2 years ago, I got placed to live in my apartment at Lighthouse. I honestly cannot believe how things have gone up from there. It's been hectic as well. For once, I started to feel in control of my life. I felt free and able to make my own decisions. Here, I have gained support, trust, and empowerment for the first time in my life. I have been able to get a job and apply for Section 8 housing, which, by the way, I just found out I'll be moving into before Christmas. Yay. This will be the final step to me getting my daughter back, and I can't wait to hold her again. I am beyond exhilarated. I'm trying not to cry. All of that came from a safe and affordable place to live. I can't imagine where I'd be if I hadn't made that decision to live at the Lighthouse. These past years have been the foundation to the beginning of my life. I am so grateful for this experience with Speak Up, who has given me the platform to share my story. I have a voice. I have a powerful story that I hope inspires others to seek out support and affordable housing. It changes lives. It changed mine. Thank you, Miss Wendy Johnson, Miss Benita, Miss Mackenzie, Miss Ashley, Mr. Allen, Miss Sherry, my amazing Coach Meredith, Speak Up, Be Spoken, Lighthouse, and my fellow advocate family. I know it's been a bumpy ride, but we've made it through, so.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad to see all of you here tonight. My name is Sarah Top, and I've had the very special pleasure of being an advocate, or being a coach for my advocate, Ebony Ballard. It's been a really wonderful experience for me to get to know her and watch her grow through this process and just transform. We've been talking as a group about the idea of creating a brave space, which means that even in the midst of hard things, we show up anyway, and I can't think of a better word for Ebony than brave, and I think that you'll see that in her story tonight, too. So please help me in welcoming Miss Ebony Ballard.
Hello, everyone. And before I start my speech, I'm going to say I'm going to hold this because this is my grandmother. She died, and I'm not talking without her. And I want to thank Miss Wendy because I wouldn't have did it without you. So I'm going to start with, hello, my name is Ebony Ballard, and I'm here to tell you about myself. I'm 23 years old. I love to work. I'm a hard worker. I'm smart, kind, intelligent. My friends say I'm strong. I'm a strong person. The reason they say that is because I lost my mom and grandpa.
Just take a deep breath.
My mom died January 14, 2010. I was only a child when she died. I felt the long lost hurt. I can't even see. Hold on. When my mom passed, I stayed with my grandma. She was loving, caring. It was my everything. She was trying to make sure I stayed out of trouble and on my feet. But you know, as kids, we always in trouble. I never listened, but she was always by my side. My grandmother died October 6, 2015. I was lost. I didn't know what to do. She was all that I had. That's when I got my own apartment. I was only 18 years old. I let someone in their family come stay with me. I thought I was doing the right thing, but I was not. I was betrayed, backstabbed, and used. I took it amongst myself to leave my own house and go to Tennessee, which was stupid. I ran away from my own problems, and I lost my home. I had nowhere to go, so I started sleeping in cars with friends, staying outside some nights, and sometimes I trusted strangers to stay at their place, which turned me into being assaulted and then right back on the streets. I was never alone. I had one friend by my side. She tried to help as much as she could. I started going to shelters, wouldn't get in them. I always ran from my problems. One day, I met someone, and they took me in. I told them about my problems and what was going on. She said, I'm not going back to no shelter. She took me in. I stayed with her for almost a year. She never put me out, but I left. She was mad. I came right back. She took me back. But she was always on my side. One day, my cousin Patrice took me to Lighthouse and I met with a couple of people. It took months to get me in, but they called me for an apartment. Now that I have supported housing, I can do things I wanted to do. I can say I have a home. I can go to school. I can do whatever I want to do. I might not like it sometimes, and I may not be the best, but it's home to me. Thanks for the people who was by my side, who took me in, who I called. I had lots of support when I was making my new home. It was hard when I had nowhere to go, but when I found Lighthouse, I was supported by more. I was supported by more than just my friends and family. I was going to end it all, but I didn't because I have a great team supporting me through difficult transactions. I don't wish homeless on anyone because life is hard with a home. And I'm done.
Hi, I'm Betsy Wecker. I'm the coach for Janelle Engelman. When we met for our first kind of group meeting, we didn't know who we would be matched with. But when this relatively tiny human being walked into the room with this huge personality, I instantly felt this connection with her. And sure enough, when they announced that we were a match, she jumped up and screamed, "I knew it was you!" So, which made me feel really special. And she has that way of making you feel known and seen, and when she affirms or encourages somebody, she really means it, and people really feel it, and it's this really incredible power that she has. So I feel really, really grateful to be her friend and to do this work together. Ladies and gentlemen, just help me welcome Janelle Engelman to the stage.
This thing gone? Good evening, everybody. My name is Janelle Engelman, and I would like to share my story with you. How many of you sitting before me have heard of faith before? Anybody? Raise your hand. Anybody heard of faith? Yeah, me too. And I'm a firm believer in it. When I was a little girl, I had quite a few trials and tribulations. I got exposed to a lot of things at a very young age, from things like physical abuse from the ages 8 to 12, to things like feeling like, to things like wanting to commit suicide because I feel like I wasn't good enough and things will never get better. I also experienced things like having to deal with job and family services, and even though there was obviously abuse and neglect in the home, there was still no action taken. Growing up in my household was tough. I was the youngest of 3 kids. I was the only girl, and I had my own dad. I was always the unique one, and I definitely felt it. Growing up, I always wanted a relationship with my mom more than anything, but it didn't work that way. Instead, me and my mom would get into physical altercations, and she would kick me out, causing me to develop a juvenile record. My mom would do things for my brother, but when I asked, she would tell me to ask my father. For a long time, my mom wasn't doing my hair or washing my clothes or feeding me. So I reached out to try to get emancipated, but it didn't work out. So I had to get it how I live. I had to learn how to survive on my own. That looked like me doing hair as a side hustle at a young age, me cleaning up the neighborhood barbershop for a few dollars in my pocket. I even had to do things that I'm not too proud of, like steal from my neighborhood stores to eat because there wasn't anything at home. Keep in mind, this is the same house that JFS said that was safe for me to be at. When I turned 14, I got my first job and became a little bit more sufficient because I had my own hard-earned money. But it was only a summer job, so it didn't last very long. By the time I turned 16, I was a team leader at Kings Island, and I was making good money, so I was able to buy my first car, a Monte Carlo. It was red, like that. Shortly after that, I stopped coming home because I felt like it wasn't much there for me, and I started living out of my car. Even though I loved my mom a lot, I felt like that was a decision that I had to make to better myself. I could remember days and nights, long nights, couch surfing and wondering where I would go, how I would eat, and where I would take showers at. I was basically taking showers anywhere I could go. I was basically just surviving the best way I knew how. I always tried to keep a job so I wouldn't look like I was going through, but it was tough. Unfortunately, I had to quit school for a while because I just didn't have the time or the energy for it. By the time I turned 18, I found myself a product of my environment. Pregnant, no diploma, and no place to call my own. I had a choice to make. And the choice that I had to make was obvious. No, my bad. I had a choice to make. I could have either stayed a statistic or had faith and got up and gave it everything I had for me and my child. It was obvious what I had to do. I found out about Lighthouse Shakely Center, and that was the best thing that could have happened for me. They got me matched with housing within 2 weeks. I was overwhelmed with joy. Me holding on to my faith for all those years actually paid off. Since I've got matched with housing, I've been able to take control of my life and focus on things like securing my high school diploma and being able to raise my daughter in our own safe place because I made a decision and got blessed. And in the end, I got rewarded with a Section 8 voucher for somewhere for me and my daughter to call our own home. I've also been able to focus on my mental health and deal with my past so I can better myself and not be bitter in the future because I have a great gift I want to one day use. I've also been able to focus on some of my dreams like public speaking and simply just helping others. Lighthouse gave me a great opportunity by letting me meet Senator Sherrod Brown, and I was able to share my story with him. Doing so got the Lighthouse supplied with Similac, Pampers, clothes, and etc. It really has helped me and my peers, my fellow parent peers in the building, by having that resource. It has also helped because I can now start my baby group in the upcoming year of 2020 called Parenting 101 with the support of Lighthouse and the Keys team. I would also like to start my own boutique and get my hair license, and I would also like to start a nonprofit business and put it in place. A nonprofit business and place. I would also like to get a nonprofit business in place that has something to do with giving back and funding supportive housing. Over these last 2 years that I've been with the Lighthouse, I've been able to grow mentally, physically, and spiritually. And I'm very grateful for everyone who has helped along the way. I won't say any names because it's too many. It should be more organizations in place for housing so young adolescents like myself can have a chance to succeed. I would like to end by saying this quote: "You are a living magnet. What you attract in your life is in harmony with your dominant thoughts." Brian Tracy.
Hi, I'm Ryan Eaton, and I've had the privilege to help be a coach with our last storyteller, Devin. When I first met Devin, I knew that it was going to be a struggle over this next 6 months, and not because he's difficult to work with or that he's not a good storyteller, but because he was the exact opposite. Within the first 5 minutes, he had told me 2 stories that blew my mind. That were just extremely straightforward, extremely honest, vulnerable, and so I was like, man, this is going to be tough to narrow this down. So the next time we met, we went to the Pickled Pig in Walnut Hills, and there's all these weird ingredients on the menu, and for some reason he had this obsession with this grilled cheese with this black garlic quark, and so he asked me what a quark was, and I was like, dude, I don't know. I have no idea what that is. So he starts talking to the chef, and it turns out it's some type of cheese. Some of you may know, you're way more cultured than I am. And he got it, and he was just like, I'm gonna eat this. And he got about maybe 3 bites in. You suffered your way about 3 bites in because he knew the chef was watching, and he was like, I'm gonna save this for later. And he just kind of has that it's just like this curiosity for life, and he just goes for things. He's always extremely straightforward. He asks great questions, and in the end, he always makes you smile. And you're probably going to get some of that right now. So without further ado, Devin Schaefer.
How everybody doing tonight? I'm gonna start and say I'm a little nervous. Everybody mostly in the room probably don't think that I'd be nervous, but I am. I just want to start off by saying that I really wasn't meant to be here to tell this story. Starting when I was at the age of 5, I lost my brother in foster care. I watched my brother suffocate in front of me, and I couldn't do nothing about it. That was just the start of my triumphs. For some reason, God still had me here for this reason, and now today I finally see the reason why I'm here, which is to tell everybody my story and to hopefully one day get changed for the rest that's coming up behind me. I would like to say, every day I was homeless, wondering where my next meal would come from. I was about to be a dad, and I didn't want to be homeless, being a homeless, bringing a child in this already hard world. So my best action was to attend the Lighthouse. While in the process of getting myself together, I had lost my grandmother, December 29th. After I lost my grandmother, within a week, I had gotten my first job at KFC. I started saving. I was working with my case manager at the time, Mr. Tim. He ended up coming to me within 2 weeks later of me being at the Lighthouse and told me that I had an apartment upstairs above the Lighthouse ready for me if I was willing to take it. I told him yes because I was eager. I didn't want to be homeless anymore, sleep on the streets. In the process of me moving upstairs in the Lighthouse, I had met some really, really good friends. And a lot of them friends taught me some real things about life. Sorry, y'all excuse me. And I just say that I done been through a lot as far as sleeping outside, going back and forth with my mom putting me out as a youth from the age of 15 on up. I wanted to start it off by saying I invited my mom here tonight. And she promised me that she would be here. And actually, when I texted my mom and asked her would she be here, she told me that she thought she had to wait, but she didn't. And it really hurted my heart because that's the woman I really wanted to see besides my son, my child's mother, and my mother-in-law, see me accomplish this, because this is something really big that I want to strive for myself. Around August of this past year, a lot of people know I had lost 3 of the most best people to me in the world: my grandfather, my brother, and one of my best friends. I went into a depression stage while also being in this program still. My spokesperson, Ryan, told me that he's here for me if you need anything. I vented out to him and let him know what's going on. He was actually surprised to hear that was going on. I tried to check myself in and stay away. I didn't actually missed a few meetings probably of this stuff, but I'm still here. I'm willing to testify with my story and just say that with this, I had opened myself to talk in front of senators, state representatives, judges, prosecutors, and a lot of them had told me that I should keep doing what I'm doing. I have a lot going for myself. Even though I wanted to try to kill myself many a times, for some odd reason, like I said, God doesn't want me to go anywhere. So, as I say, I'm standing on all 10 toes, and I'm going to keep going for me and my son, and to make sure that I leave a legacy for him, and make sure that he doesn't have to go through any of this that I went through. I thank you for listening to my story. Y'all have a good night.
Really quickly, I forgot to mention, you do have one young man who is a part of our Speak Up family, D'Amico Beeman, who is not here today because, as I mentioned, we have a lot of young people who life continues, and he is working today, and so we are really proud of D'Amico for working and keeping his commitment to his job, which we want him to keep. But we wanted to make sure to honor him. He is graduating with everybody else, but unfortunately couldn't be here to share his story, but we know that we will hear his story, and he will continue to be a part of our family. Joey?
Actually, could we give it up one more time for all the advocates? Throughout this process, I continue to be reminded that what we're doing here as coaches, as partnering organizations, is just creating the platform for these people to realize that they got the sauce. You know, you got enough. You have what it takes. And the stories of resiliency and strength that just keep coming and coming and coming, they blow me away. So thank you so much. No, thank you. Yeah. So I'm Joey Taylor. I work for an organization called Bespoken Live. We are a local storytelling organization. And we have been working for about 6 months to help these people craft their stories of strength and resiliency. And it's been an honor to be with you all. I wanted to thank a couple of organizations and people in the room. First, the Corporation for Supportive Housing, and Katie, thank you. Thank you, Lighthouse Youth Services. It's pretty obvious the impact that you've made on so many people's lives. And so thank you. Thank you, Kelly and Alan and Benita. We appreciate it. I also wanted to thank all the coaches who spent a lot of the time over the past 6 months with the advocates here. So Kara, Betsy, Meredith, Ryan, Prince, TC, thank you, Nathan, really, we appreciate it. So Sarah talked about this a little bit, but right now there's a lot of talk about trying to create safe space for people to show up authentically, and I think that's really, really great. But we recognize that sharing stories is an act of courage and vulnerability, and that actually no space that we can create is really, truly, completely safe. And so what we talk about is creating brave space. And so we modified a poem that was written by a lady named Mickey Scott Bay Jones, and this is something that we read together at the beginning of all of our sessions. So I wanted to read it for you all. So it's called Our Invitation to Brave Space. Together, we will create brave space. In this space, we seek to create a welcoming home by doing our best to understand and encourage one another. We call each other to more honesty and love. We have the right to be empowered and to grow. We have the responsibility to be focused and to have fun. We will not be perfect. This space will not be perfect, but it will be our brave space together. And bonded together, we will work on it side by side. So that has been a motto of sorts for us, for the space that we're creating, for the project that we're going on and trying to do this together. And I wanted, as a way to kind of close this up, to close this session of hearing all these stories, just a minute. I wanted just a minute to reflect on the stories that we've heard. And so this is going to be a little bit strange, but sometimes at Bespoken we do things that are a little bit weird. So just roll with me for a second if you don't mind. What I would like you to do is sit up straight in your chair. And if you could, take a deep breath in and out. So as I go through this, I would like you to ask yourself the question, what are you being invited to today? What are you being invited to today in the wake of all these stories that we've heard? Okay, another deep breath in and out. Maybe you could call to mind Aisha's story, the courage it took her to get up here to start us off. Take a deep breath in and out. Michael followed her and told a powerful story of strength and resiliency. Deep breath in and out. DeMarco was next. He came from nowhere and showed up with his usual charisma. Deep breath in and out. Diamond was next. I heard her whisper, "I'm terrified," as she walked up on the stage, and then she blew us all away. Deep breath in and out. Next was Ebony and her display of bravery. Deep breath in and out. Next up was Janelle. Her story was about faith and her own strength and resiliency that it took for her to go from that red Monte Carlo to being a force here today and in all of our lives. One more deep breath in and out. And last but certainly not least was Devin. Devin told a story about leaving a legacy for his son, a story about accomplishment, a story of strength. So thanks for doing that with me. So by you all being here today, you are now being invited to share this brave space with us. And you're not going to be perfect, but hopefully we can do this together now. And hopefully there's something that you are being invited to as a result of these stories. Maybe it's around homelessness and supportive housing. Maybe it's around walking side by side with somebody else in this room. Whatever it is, I hope that you can take that invitation seriously and that you all feel as empowered as the advocates have today. Thank you so much for being with us. And maybe as we close, we could just give it up for the advocates one more time. Thank you very much for being here.